Okay, so here we are again at another interview, and this time we're going to discuss the subject of depression and what it's like to have depression, and to talk about his own journey through depression. I'm very honoured to welcome onto the couch an old friend of mine. We go back a long way. It's the one and only Jameseyboy. Welcome.
Hello.
Man. How are you? All right?
Yeah, not too bad.
Good. So we'll get straight to it. So at what age did you start getting depression?
Probably started feeling depressed and getting depressive moods probably about 13, 14 years old. Probably.
So at that point you was at high school.
Yeah, I was at high school at the time, yeah.
And can you remember what made you feel it could be depression? It was a long time ago.
Well, I probably didn't think it was depression to start with.
Yeah,
I just thought it was probably something you were going through by growing up, sort of depressive, dark moods and really dark thoughts, and that probably wasn't until a little bit later that I realised exactly what it was, you know.
But if you think about who you was hanging around with at the time, did you just seem noticeably different to them, like their mood compared to your mood? Can you remember? I mean, it's a long time ago.
Probably.
Is that what made you realise it could be depression? That why do I seem so, compared to them, if you get me?
Because it was a complete change how I felt. I felt probably quite more happy-go-lucky.
Yeah.
Sort of from that going on to feeling really intense thoughts and sadness and whatever, going from that to that didn't seem right. So,
was there actually anything that triggered that?
I probably assume it's events probably in my past. Right. I've come from sort of quite a broken family and a lot of pressures at home. I imagine that's probably the big trigger point.
Right. Yeah. Okay, so there's that question. So I suppose, when did you notice depression?
Well, when I was a kid, I think I went to the doctors about young and.
But what did the doctor at that age? Can you remember how they said you could tackle it? How at that age.
Prescribed stuff and even at that age, yeah. Which.
Do you remember the advice that the doctor would have given you at that age, or?
I suppose they were more. They probably didn't. I felt they probably didn't take it as serious when I was a kid. Than maybe they were just thinking it was something I was probably going through, maybe a phase or something. But still, probably wanted to medicate me, just in case it wasn't. Maybe I don't know.
And I suppose if you're that age, do you go with your parents or do you go?
Sometimes you do, sometimes you don't. I can't actually remember if I was there by myself or.
Like the first time, you can't remember if.
Not for that, no.
Right. Okay.
No.
Okay, so what did you think about it? Can you remember what?
What, at that particular moment?
Like say like this, if you'd actually been said you're going through depression or you have depression, can you remember what you thought about like having? Sort of that label, like there's a word for what you're going through.
Take it too seriously at the time, and you don't. So you sort of you either become it or you shut it away or you sort of embrace it in some sort of sense. It becomes you, and I didn't take it too seriously. Like I've got something wrong with me. I just felt that was, I felt angry and sad, and when you've got so much stress and strain going on in your head. It's understandable. I just thought that was an overload of thoughts and feelings, which probably it was, but it then becomes part of you when you just can't get rid of it when you're happy, sort of thing.
Right. So. Yeah. Okay. I suppose. And what did you do about it?
To be honest with you, at that particular moment in time, the only thing which made myself feel better was probably drinking and taking drugs.
What, at that age? Like at the beginning, or?
I was definitely drinking and smoking, experimenting with things.
Right. Yeah. Is that just because to make you feel better, or I mean, you know, I've known you for a long time. I mean, you know, you like to expand your mind and stuff, but I mean,
not anymore.
I know, but I'm talking about you know. Is that because you just felt awful and you wanted to feel better, or?
Well, that sort of lifestyle probably suited me because I probably was going to do that sort of thing anyway at that particular moment in time, and because I felt good doing it, and it was probably one of the only times I did feel good in myself while doing it, I can then link with that, and it suited. That I was sort of medicating myself in that sense, and it worked for me at that moment in time, you know, like a lot of other things. That and music, you know, so.
Okay, well, we'll get onto that probably a little bit. So, so obviously at that age, you know, you're at high school, you know, it's a tough, you know, it can be a tough period for anybody, but obviously, how did you cope going through that at high school?
I suppose just like any other kid would, if they got problems, they'd sort of shut it away when they're at school and just get on and sort of.
But did you feel it isolated you at school in any way?
I just sort of kept myself to myself, really. I didn't. But I don't know if it affected me, sort of.
Did you feel it about how you like mixed with people and stuff? Obviously.
Yeah. I suppose I had a darker thought of people. You know, I was probably not interested in mixing too much. Kept in my general group of people who I'm supposed to I was comfortable with, and kept myself to myself. And that was really, I mean, just got through school, my head down, sort of, and outside of school or at school, just had a laugh, pissed about, and done whatever as long as it tried to keep me happy, happier than I was, I suppose.
Right, yeah.
Something to try and feed me and that sort of stuff.
Yeah. Okay, right. So, I mean, if you had the diagnosis at school, but I mean, I don't know of it, but was there support for it at school? Available? Like knowingly available?
I really knew nothing of that when at that sort of age. I weren't till I was more having problems with sort of psychological problems more when I was 18 that I realised that sort of help. There was different help out there. When I was younger, it was more like just see the doctor, go away, you might feel better.
But I mean,
that was it.
For me, I mean, I didn't have problems when I was at school, so it's like sometimes. So I definitely wasn't aware of it. But I suppose if you're going through it, then if you see the help, but you can't remember. There wasn't like posters or leaflets on because I mean I wasn't aware of it personally, but I mean
there may have been,
if I'm not going through it,
yeah,
then I might not be looking for it.
There may have been, but to my recollection, I can't remember nothing about it.
Right.
It didn't seem to be taken as seriously maybe as then and it is now.
Yeah.
And you can understand kids do go through emotional periods when they're teenage, so it could be part of that as well. You know.
Well, I suppose even if somebody's going through an emotional period, even if it is the age, there should still be the offer of the support, whether it's part of growing up or not.
I wasn't
should
offered
at
anything
least
like that.
be explained a change. I mean, it's mental health, but I'm just talking about a change. If it's a growing up change, but it should still be explained, right? Any sort of change that's struggling.
Oh no, I believe there should be
well
something
known
there. Yeah.
That, if you want to discuss something.
Oh, definitely, yeah. I don't think that the kid should have to deal with that by themselves.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it pents up inside and it comes out in different ways.
Yeah.
Through anger or cutting yourself or whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, there should be some way for kids to be able to get that out themselves because they don't understand sometimes. I mean, which probably I didn't,
I mean, a lot of adults don't understand it, to be fair. I suppose you're a kid and you're trying to develop yourself, like, especially high school. I mean, school can be cruel.
Of course,
So, it can be something, I suppose if you're on the other side and you're struggling,
Yeah.
I imagine did it, seems even crueler.
Well, possibly because I don't know how other kids felt.
Yeah.
I just sort of was dealing with my own demons, and
Yeah,
I mean, I probably felt I did feel like I was having a hard time. You know, and probably assumed that other kids weren't.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, it was probably hard. It was hard to deal with. Yeah. Without a doubt.
Right. Yeah. Okay. So I'll pick this up. Do you think your mental health issues at an early age affected your views on people going forward in your life for better or worse?
Probably because of the understanding of people with depression or mental health. I don't believe that they truly understood it, especially more back then. It was either you're down or depressed, or it was maybe fashionable to feel sort of a bit depressed, or whatever. Everyone's into this depressive music or whatever, and it became a fashionable thing, and people weren't taking it seriously. And some people probably were on the bandwagon as well. It was a fashionable thing to do. Everyone else seemed to be doing it. I mean, so the perspective of other people wasn't taking people who they didn't really understand what that person was actually going through. I mean, depression isn't just sort of sitting there in a chair with listening to Marilyn Manson, sort of like, oh, I hate my parents or whatever. I mean, it's completely away from that. It's a mental world when you just can't even understand what's going on in your life. I mean, things weren't making sense. That was,
But obviously, it seems to me that school shapes people, like how important school is in shaping people and the way they view things. And because it seems to me that like views people have at school, like not you, not anyone, but anybody really, seem to keep the same views that you have when you're at school and you're a kid. I mean, you don't really know anything. I'm not saying everybody does, but I'm saying it seems that. So actually, the point is, do you think your experience of school shaped your view of people getting older in terms of your experience at school, how it all works in your depression and how you view? Do you think that as you've got older, you've kept the same view of people? Do you think it just is the same?
I believe people change. I mean, kids are cruel without a doubt. I mean, I didn't really show too much people. I suffered depression, at school. Most of my friends are at school, and I had a piss about, and I probably had more of a laugh being at school, in high school that is, than I would be at home. Most of my problems were at home.
Right, yeah.
So, when I was out with my friends, I could have a laugh in class.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a little bit of a way
to escape, isn't it?
Yeah.
Even though I suppose you might still have some problems at school, at least you're escaping maybe what's causing the problems in some way.
Yeah, I suppose I could forget about it a bit more at home, at school, I mean, and I could be more myself. School wasn't really a big problem for me.
Right, yeah.
No, so... but people are a problem. I mean, it would be hard to me to explain to other children or people what I was going through, because you'd have a laugh or someone would take the piss out of you, of course.
Yeah,
I mean, and even when you're a little bit older and you try to explain these things to friends and family, and I believe they're the people who you feel you should be able to talk to if you're in need of help, and sometimes they're the last person, because when you try to explain your problems to them, and I feel a lot of people don't understand it, and then they either think you're making it up or don't take you seriously, and when you get that reaction back off these people, it can make it worse.
That you're relying on.
Yeah. Well, it's a sort of something which would probably be very hard to tell if you've just sort of worked out what you've got yourself, or some sort of problem, and you're trying to understand what you're going through. So you then try to explain this thing to either your friends or your family, and maybe they might be able to help you or soothe you in some sort of way, and they either shut you off or ignore it like you never even said it, or you're making it up. That probably, for me, caused more pain, because then I knew I had to deal with it myself that particular time, and then I start to believe that everyone who I could talk to about this would react in the same way, or they have the same thoughts on that. So if I can't get help off people I feel I can trust or whatever, why should I tell them? I'll deal with it like I've always dealt with it, deal with it myself. So
next question. Okay, how long have you continued to suffer with it?
On and off ever since then. I still get depression now, so it's never gone away. It's always, once you've got it, from my experience, I mean, it'll always come and go. You'll have good and bad moments in your life. Even when everything's going really well in life, depression can just come up, bite you on the arse, and everything's going so sweetly in life, but you're feeling awful. Everyone thinks your life's pretty good, you're doing really well, or you've got everything you need, but you're feeling the complete opposite. And to some people, they feel, well, you're just being ungrateful, or sort of that. You just can't help how you feel inside.
People don't seem to get their head around. A lot of people,
well, they
do use that angle. They've never felt it, but yet they assume they know. I mean, but you don't.
Well, feeling depressed and suffering from depression are two different things. I mean, feeling depressed, we all feel sad about things. It's a natural emotion, but actually suffering from clinical depression is actually where the chemicals in your brain aren't acting the way they should. So when you're supposed to be feeling good, you're not getting those good feelings, which you would do normally. So you're feeling sad, and people don't understand that there's something else going on in your chemical structure, your body. Not just that you're feeling ungrateful or sad or pathetic, whatever people think. It's actually a medical condition. Until people actually realise the difference between that, I don't think there'll ever be a massive change, but that's from my own experience. I mean,
and you're entitled to your opinion, of course. Right, okay, so how has it affected your ability to go through your life in different areas of your life?
I suppose in some ways it's worked.
Like relationships or friendships or work or just.
Well, in relationships it can be hard because things could be going well, and if you're feeling down in yourself, obviously your partner who you're with at the time obviously thinks there's something wrong between you and there isn't. It's just how you're feeling, and if they don't understand that, it's hard to explain, and maybe they don't believe you. I mean, it can take time, and with my partner, she's very understanding. She understands everything I'm going through, which I'm lucky. But I have been with other people in the past, feeling like that, and if they don't understand, and I can understand where they're coming from, it's pretty hard. And when you are feeling down, you can have sort of rage, feelings of emotion and anger and stuff like that.
I suppose if somebody's not it's not able to understand it,
correct,
it just makes the problem bigger, doesn't it?
Well,
It causes more problems,
and then you
more
react,
frustration, and it just gets bigger and bigger. You know how you're feeling, you know that you're telling the truth, but if somebody can't get their head around it, well then you feel sort of undervalued for what you're trying to.
Well, you react because you're feeling so low at the time, and you don't act sort of in the way you should, really. I mean, you haven't got level heads to start with, so it can destroy relationships.
Yeah.
I mean, friendships are, I mean, if now I'm older, if anyone wants to discuss things or whatever, I'm not afraid not to discuss anything. I'm pretty open about anything I've done or how I'm feeling in life. I don't bring it up. I mean, it is still quite personal. I don't go around saying, I've suffered from depression or whatever. I mean, yeah, I mean, it's become easier to deal with as I've probably become stronger and understood more about it.
Do you become more accepting of it? Or have you always been accepting of it? I mean, not in like a really positive way, but I mean, like, I suppose throughout all them years, you must understand it on a very deep level. I mean, I know you and like how you talk and stuff, and you know, it does give you an understanding of like psychological thinking without even studying it, doesn't it? I mean, because you kind of study yourself in a way.
Yeah.
I mean, I certainly done to myself. But
yeah, you're continuously thinking all the time, and I mean, I'm accepting that that's something I've got and possibly will always have. May get worse and get better. I know when the trigger points are coming. I know when I'm feeling down or whatever, and I know it's down to depression and not things that are going on in my life. But yeah, I understand it more now, because when I was younger I found it more confusing. Maybe that's how I was supposed to feel, or maybe when I was sort of like 18 sort of years old, because I was taking drugs and whatever, it was increasing different psychological feelings, and it was more than depression. There was other unusual feelings of confusion and sort of hearing stuff and that, and then was it depression? So because of drinking drugs, it sort of fused the situation a bit and became something worse than that. But
I suppose when you're in that moment, you don't know, though, do you? I mean,
well, you think you're cracking up. I mean, there is nothing else like it. How you assume.
Because I always think, you know, drugs, you know, it's a risky area and stuff like that. But even if somebody takes drugs, you can't undervalue. You know, if it's caused you problems, but regardless, you're still going through them problems. Whether, you know, even on a personal level, you know, drugs and stuff wouldn't have helped me. But the point was, I was still going through, you know, a lot of people say, oh, but you done drugs, you know, you deserve it, you do drugs. But nobody ever deserves that. I mean, there's many people, you grow up and stuff and you experiment and stuff and you have a thingy in that. But regardless of anything, if you're going for a shit time, that, you know, you should be able to, you know, get some compassion for that. I'm not saying feel sorry, but I mean, you know, to be able to express I'm struggling and the response would be, oh, sorry about that. You know, we'll go to the doctors, we'll get some help and we'll get through this. I mean, regardless of drugs or not.
Every case is different. I mean, we all go through different things. We all do different things for different reasons. No one wants to feel ill in any way psychologically. No one, I'm sure that there isn't people who go out their way to cause themselves that sort of pain. And everyone's got a reason for doing things, like say taking drugs, maybe a reason to forget about something else, and because it soothes one moment, it becomes a vicious cycle, and then can become worse, and you just can't get out of that cycle. And if you don't understand it, you do need help for someone to get you out of that.
I think just if somebody does do drugs, doesn't mean they deserve.
No one deserves.
No, I mean, I just want to make that point.
No,
because so many people are anti-drugs, like, oh, you do drugs, you deserve that, you know.
Well, that's just narrow-mindedness.
Yeah, of course, but I just wanted to make that point, you know.
I mean, just because, it can make things worse, and in my case, it probably made things a lot worse. And yeah, I am partly to blame. You know, I'm not here blaming anyone else for doing it, but I wouldn't have gone into it specifically to make myself feel worse. I'd probably go into it to forget about things, to make myself feel better.
Well, actually, the opposite.
And,
but I mean,
yeah, things do happen, and I am partly to blame, of course. But I feel that when someone who needs help who may need it even more. Doesn't matter what they've done.
Exactly.
Drink,
that's
drugs.
The bottom line, right? Yeah.
If they've beat people out, it doesn't matter. Everyone's got their own problem, and everyone needs help in some form or other. You know, everyone should be treated equally.
Yeah. Right. Okay. Okay. When you are struggling with your depression, do you find it hard to be around people?
People I'm not comfortable with. Yeah. General public in the workplace, I get very anxious, and I do find it quite hard to deal with people. I deal with it in the way I know best to do, just keep my head down, get on with work, answer yes or no. I mean, yeah. But if I'm at home by myself, I find it even harder to deal with when I've got no one. If I'm just by myself, I'm continuously thinking, and that can make the depression worse. I start getting paranoid.
Yeah.
So it is also good to see people when I'm depressed as well.
I suppose, do you need to be around the right people?
Yeah, I do. People I'm comfortable with, and people who may understand what I'm going through. So. Yeah.
Okay. But so just on that last point, but when you're around people, when you're struggling and stuff, do you feel that they can tell? Do you feel that it's noticeable?
In my case, with my partner, she sort of understands how I'm feeling. She can tell if I'm feeling anxious just by how I look in my face and how I react or whatever. Where when we first were together, she couldn't, and it's hard for someone to understand what someone's going through if they don't understand the problem itself. But we've been together a long time, and she knows sometimes if I'm feeling a little off, and I can't actually explain it myself to her. Sometimes if you're feeling that bad, you can't even talk to people. Do you
try or do you not try? Do you feel if you try it'll come out wrong, or
we've got that relationship now that we know straight away, and I'd say I'm having a bad one. She'd say and that's really easy. I mean,
does that mean you stay out of each other's way?
No, we just sort of go on as normal, and obviously, it's not going to be on my back or whatever. But I mean,
just carry on. Try,
we know maybe I'm a bit delicate or whatever, and we
but
know
you don't make an issue of it, or obviously you'll probably discuss it at some point, but you kind of just carry on.
No, we don't make an issue of it. We sort of let each other know that I'm not feeling my normal self.
Yeah.
And just to say that that's not something what they've done, or it's just I'm having an off day or whatever, or a couple of weeks or whatever.
Does she question that? So say like if you have your mood's not very good enough, and will she? I mean, I know her, so I'll be a little bit careful. Will she keep wanting reassurance? So there's nothing to do with her. Obviously,
no.
It goes on for a while.
No,
right? Are you sure it's not to do with me? Sure. Well,
no, we've got sort of past that stage. Maybe it did the early part of the relationship when you didn't understand it, but we've got to such an understanding that she knows from how I am.
Yeah.
I don't have to say anything. I mean, that's that.
She just knows.
Yeah, she knows. When you know each other that well,
you've been together a long time.
You know each other that well, and I if she's feeling bad, I know the same.
Okay.
So that's
it
makes it so easy for me
to be in a relationship where you both understand each other like that. I mean,
well, yeah. I mean, I've never had it before, and that's it makes life easier. Otherwise, you're continuously fighting or.
And I suppose you can be like honest, like if you're feeling something. And you're feeling that. I suppose a lot of people might be in relationships where they don't feel good, but can't express that fact. And I suppose cause more. If you can't express and you suppress what you want to say.
Exactly, and that's happened to me in past relationships, and it has come out in the wrong way because they don't understand. You end up fighting or whatever. I am lucky in that sense that it is resolved, and we know when we're in that situation, and life is better in that way. Life's easier for me.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm lucky. I mean, I wish other people's relationship could be the same. You know.
But do you think if mental health in general was understood better, then it would all improve? I'm intrigued to know. Like, I personally think it would improve. I'm not saying problems wouldn't go away.
I feel if people were more educated about stuff from a younger age, it becomes a normal thing in society instead of like...
That can be talked about when you're going through it instead of not talking about it for years and years and for however long, because problems lead to more problems, which lead to more problems, which sometimes lead to bad actions, which lead to bad consequences, which, you know...
destroy your life.
Well, this is it. And all because you weren't able to talk about
yourself,
the at the beginning, you know, the struggle, you know. But
and these people, I'm lucky because I eventually knew that it was something else which was causing me to react like this, where a lot of people never know, and they just feel they were born that way, and they're just... You know, and they end up coming in and out of prison or whatever.
Yeah.
You know, slapping people about, whatever.
I mean, I always feel with myself that if I, say like I become ill about 19, 20, if I didn't have a clear memory of myself before I got ill, like, I wouldn't have never, how would I have been able to strive to make that, I mean, because I was striving for a complete recovery and it took years. But if I didn't have that memory of myself being really well, like, I don't think I would have been striving, because if I'd have known it from a really young age and it had gone on for as long as it had done, I probably wouldn't have ever thought maybe it would go away.
No.
But I suppose for a lot of people that have things at an early age,
it just feels like who they are.
Yeah. I mean... And
for some conditions, that probably is who they are, because it won't go. I mean, like say, not every condition is curable, so you have to be able to deal with it better, and then it becomes, once you accept it becomes easier to live with, and it's not a problem as much anymore. It's something you deal with, and it's just part of life. I mean, it can be a lot easier, you know.
But do you say you've had it since a teenager, and you've obviously had it off and on for quite a number of years? Do you strive after all these years for it to go completely? I mean, do you feel within yourself it could go completely, or has it gone on for so long it's something that you now accept will just come and go?
Because it's been going on for so long, I wouldn't be surprised if I've got it for life or whatever, but you always strive to make yourself feel better, and that's part of the fight. You're always trying to make things, and I do feel you can always improve the situation by trying. I mean, there's lots of different avenues to go down. People have got the internet now to look, and people are talking about it. You're not by yourself, and that makes it easier for people.
But what do you find, obviously, with depression, you know, comes... like, can sap your motivation and stuff like that, and maybe when you're at that thing and that's when you really need that kick, but because of your moods you just can't get it. I mean, has there ever been any like little things that you do personally that can just kick something in? Because I know that, you know, you try all sorts of different things.
I've tried lots of different stuff. The most effective things, if you can, exercise always comes up. I mean, if you can exercise, if you can manage to get up to exercise, it can be quite hard when you're feeling so low. To exercise regularly, treadmill, or a little bit of weights, or regularly.
And you do yours from home though, right? Instead of going to the gym.
Yeah, you don't have to go out and mix with people.
Yeah.
You can just, like I say, you know, do some exercise indoors if that's what you feel comfortable with. It may take a month or two to feel a little bit, but it may give you that extra bit of strength to make you feel that little bit better and get you out of that hole.
Yeah.
Other things that work for me, meditation. I mean, it's not easy to sit there in silence and try and get rid of all your thoughts.
Especially if you're down, and you have all that negative chatter going down, you know, and you feel awful.
Because you start getting
try and have silence.
Yeah.
you know, you're alone with just your thoughts, I assume.
You are, but by learning meditation, you learn a way of trying to concentrate on nothing, and that is a technique. What does take another month. It can take years for some people.
But it's something you feel.
It's a technique which is, in my opinion, for mental health.
Yeah.
Anyone with any psychological problems, it's essential.
Yeah.
And if you can learn that technique, you may not use it all the time.
Yeah.
But it is. There's no side effects. I mean, apart from maybe getting a little bit of a bad back, but there are cushions out there. I mean,
but you can do it on the floor, right? I mean, when
you can do it laying down, laying flat. Best to sit up straight backs. But I mean, it's a safe way. It doesn't work for everybody. I mean, but it works for me. It still does.
You can't do it 2 or 3 times and say, this doesn't work. It's
no, it becomes a lifelong thing.
But it's you get in the momentum. It's like anything. You don't really get any benefits from many things by doing things a couple of times. It's by sticking at it, then eventually you see the results.
Once you learn the basic breathing techniques and like that, it's same as exercise but for the brain. It's just mental exercise and it's a way of keeping certain thoughts out.
What about reading? If you say mental exercise, well, reading's mental exercise.
Yeah, I mean,
if you're in that mood, does it take your thoughts away from your darkness into a story or some knowledge?
Yeah, anything what's going to take your mind off what you're concentrating on is good. I mean, reading, watching films, and music is obviously the best soother out of all of them. I mean, music is great for mental health because there's a mood stabiliser. It can get you from feeling really down up and tapping your feet, and I mean, again, no side effects to it. I mean, music's always been there. When no one else has been, I can always put on the music.
But even at that young age, I know that music was really important to you.
Even more important. I mean, music was always there. That was something what helped me through when the medication didn't. The music. Without music, you hear people say they don't even know if they would even be here. I know it's everyone seems to say that, but I do believe that's probably quite a true statement. That music is such an important thing for mental health. It gets in you somewhere.
And obviously you have a tune and depends on how you feel.
It can release feelings and emotions what you can't release through drugs or through other things. It is.
And through frustration and anger that you suppose you can't
make
get
you
out
forget,
and stuff. You can release it in other ways that sometimes I think people think's negative, but it's not.
Oh,
no.
I know it can release lots of bad thoughts, feelings, tension, and music is definitely keep listening to music.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. So. How do you feel people in society view depression?
Like we said earlier, I feel that society hasn't got much understanding of depression. That is changing. A lot more people are becoming open, and to be honest with you, everyone knows someone. Most people themselves have felt either depressed or anxious in their life. It is a normal part of life. I mean, in the society we live in the modern world, depression is something we have to live with, and people need to understand it more if it has to be put out there so people see it as just a normal thing in life. I mean, but I still feel there is that sort of
the divide.
Gap.
The divide.
And understanding about it.
I mean, I think, even as adults and that, I mean, and I think the divide's noticeable in just what people say, what people joke about, because obviously what's a joke to somebody could really crush somebody else. I mean, I joke about, but if I feel that I'm really hurting somebody's feelings, I'm just trying to think, people that are quick with their tongue and stuff like that, for other people when they're struggling, I mean, it crushes them.
Well, we wouldn't go and pick on someone as worst case scenario and talk about their cancer when they're dying in the bed and take.
Well, you wouldn't,
talk
would
to
you?
someone about
you know that that's so disrespectful.
And it's upsetting.
Yeah.
The days when I was growing up, when I was younger, people would talk about the mad guy on the corner or something. Maybe someone with dementia or whatever. And now more people are understanding it. And if you're taught to feel that this could make them either worse or this isn't how you treat people who are ill or I think there is a change, and I think it's probably going to take a long time because it's slowly sifting its way through. But education. For
and some compassion, of course.
I mean, it's easy to just sort of forget about people and leave people, even if you don't know someone. I mean, if there are people out there who understand them, it can make them feel life's easier for them.
Like, lots of people, don't get me wrong, it's a great thing, are compassionate about lots of other things, whatever causes, whether that be, people in different countries and that, all whatever causes, but yet they don't show, they like to let people know the compassion they show, but yet the things that are right in front of their noses, right under their noses, you see people struggling, it's obvious with your eyes, people that are going through a hard time, you ignore that. Why are you ignoring that? You're trying to make out you're really compassionate, but yet you can see it with your own eyes right in front of you, and you don't really care about that, really.
I believe if you are a sort of compassionate person, you don't show to people that I'm compassionate by doing this and that. You just do. You are that sort of person. If you see it, you naturally go and do it. I mean, don't be held back by because nobody else is doing it. I mean, there's a lot of people who choose to ignore things because life's easy for them. I mean, there are people out there who need help, and it takes a strong person to get up and go out there and help them. I mean, it sounds so silly, really, but I mean, there's not enough people who actually go out there and got the strength to actually help a person in need. I mean, you don't have to give them money. Sometimes just a chat or, pat on the shoulder, whatever. I mean, you don't have to go and stick money in someone's pocket to help them out,
I suppose it's nice for people
to know that someone they understand. That's it.
I suppose it seems like a really cold world, but I suppose if you, even with you're with some friends and you feel within yourself, that something's wrong or someone ain't getting treated right, but because maybe you're hanging around and it's this sort of banter and stuff, well, at the end of the day, if you feel that way, lead the way. Lead the way, course, nothing will ever change until people lead the way.
There's nothing bad about it.
Because people kind of know when things ain't right, but nobody leads the way to say it. It's like you just copy a mentality, even if you know it's not right. I mean,
no, people are scared to act on their actual feelings because maybe they feel they'll get ridiculed by themselves, and every time someone actually does make a stand, actually the opposite way around. That's probably what they were thinking themselves, but because no one else is making that action, they believe that's how they should act. And it takes a strong person to get up and be, strong and act upon their thoughts, and that's a good thing. We all should do that a bit more. I mean,
I think that's how change would happen, right? Not everybody is going to do it, but when you see other people doing it, you know that it's right. They're doing it.
Well, it's in that same, like we were talking a second ago about other people not doing things because other people aren't doing things. If other people started making strong movements and actions, that other people think that's the right thing to do, and it might sort of snowball from there. But until people actually start making a change, there will be no change.
This is it. Be the change. Right, so I'm going on to the changing the subject completely now. Okay, this is a quick fire round. Okay,
quick fire, right,
so we keep this upbeat. You've done extremely well. I'm proud of you. Good lad. So this is quick fire rounds, which means exactly that. Quick fire rounds.
Right.
So quick snappy answers. So you ready for this?
Yeah.
You sure? Right. You've heard this first one, so you probably thought.
Tell me the
Ready? Here we go. Pirates or ninjas?
Pirates.
Pirates. What's the furthest you've jumped into a pool from? The edge.
Yeah, the edge.
Right.
That is. No, off someone's shoulders, I think. Well, I can't remember.
Right, okay, I've got it. Have you ever played a practical joke on anyone? I've known you a long time, right? I knew the answer, I thought that'd be a good one to ask. What colour socks are you wearing?
Black.
Black? Are they even?
Yes.
Right. Anyway, have you ever played Conkers?
Yes.
Are you much of a daredevil? I've known you a long time, right?
I have been known to in the past, yeah.
But these days?
Not as much as I used to be.
But could you be?
Yes.
What would your dream sandwich be?
Oh, dream sandwich.
Quick fire round, right?
Toasted full cheese.
Toasted what?
4 different types of cheese.
4 different types? Cheese. You like cheese, right? Anyway, can you do this is a good one. Can you do any other accents other than your own?
I don't know what you're talking about.
What accent is that?
I don't know.
Right, it's brilliant.
Now I can't.
German?
Yeah.
French. What is the last song you danced to?
Dance to. I can't remember.
Was it the Cheeky Girls?
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought it would be. What's your favourite... Hang on. This one's for Corin, right? He's worried. What's your favourite feature on the opposite sex?
Feature? Bum.
Bum, you like the bums?
I'll go for an ass.
Yeah. Right, do you believe in the Loch Ness Monster?
No.
Would you like to see mine?
I don't believe you've got one.
No, I haven't. No, I wish. That's it, really.
Oh, right.
Yeah. Quick fire round.
Okay.
That's it. Well done.
Yeah, well done.
Excellent. Cheers, mate. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.